I know. We're right back here again. Same crap, different day, right? Penguins fall in heartbreaking fashion. Where have I said that before? To the New York Islanders. This has been a theme for at least the last 30 plus years. You can go well back before that when they blew a 3-0 series lead back in the 70s. But, I'm focusing on the last 30 years because I think that's where the big heartbreak has been. It continued with this game. To start the show, we're getting into Mike Sullivan's ridiculous deployment at the end of this game and why that plus a couple of really bad defensive miscues cost the Penguins one of their best performances of the season. That's all coming up right after this drop.
You're Locked On Penguins, your daily podcast on the Pittsburgh Penguins, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, good Friday morning to you all. Welcome back to another edition of the Locked On Penguins podcast. I'm, of course, your host, Hunter Hodes. Remember to follow me on Twitter at Hunter Hodes. Follow the show's Twitter at NL Penguins. Of course, thank you all so much for making this your first listen of the day. Well, you're free and available on all platforms. I'm recording this just as basically the clock strikes midnight. So very good Friday morning, March 10th to you all. Thought I would be recording a very positive filled episode for you, but nope. Of course, the Penguins have to squander yet another third period lead to the New York Islanders. They're the third one in the last 3 meetings against them. And this one hurts the most. Penguins destroyed them through the first 40 minutes. Third period, first half of it, playing fine. You're killing a couple penalties. Honestly, I would say the first 53, 54 minutes of this game were good. Final 6 minutes were a disaster. And that's been the theme for these past 3 games. The Islanders made it 3-2 with about 5 minutes left. Hudson Fasching just schools Mikhail Gramlin to the net. Pretty poor defensive work there. Tristan Jarry, not good movement at all. And I'm going to touch on that a little bit later. But here is the big kicker once again. For some reason, this head coach, someone who I have been a massive fan of ever since he took over for Mike Johnston when I was, checks notes, 18 years old. I'm 25 now. Actually, no, park that. Yeah, 19 years old. No, sorry, 18 years old. Screwed that up. Whatever. We're going to leave that in. He has just lost his way this season with a lot of stuff. And this Jeff Carter thing, I do not get in the slightest. I know you aren't going to come in the comments. I got a whole bunch of tweets. Hunter, what are you talking about? He missed the empty net. It was a high stick. Yeah, I get it. I probably put that out a little too prematurely. He high sticked. It wasn't going to count anyway. That said, why in the HE double hockey sticks is he being iced in that situation? 2.5 minutes left, 5 on 6. You need to preserve this lead to get the 2 points to move ahead of the team that you are in direct competition with for one of the final playoff spots. And you are icing your worst forward. I don't get it. Is he doing this out of spite, Mike Sullivan? He's been doing it all year. And the media's asked questions about it. You guys keep asking me the same question. Yeah, because you keep making the same mistake. I'm surprised no one asked him about it tonight. I'd be grilling him about it every time if I were in the locker room. I wouldn't care if I got thrown out or something. I mean, I hope to be in that locker room for all of next season. And, I would love to ask him that question every time. It's a joke. I don't think he would do that out of spite to the GM for giving him that contract. But, I don't know what he sees. I will never, ever say that I know more about hockey than freaking Mike Sullivan or basically anyone that is running a hockey team. You obviously have more knowledge than I do. You've been around the game a lot longer than me. I am, my ego's maybe a little bit high sometimes. I will never, ever think something like that. That's ridiculous. But I feel like I know at least a little bit to see analytically and eye test wise that this player is not cutting it. I don't care where you play him, center, wing, and honestly, before that deployment, he was looking okay, better maybe if you want to put in quotation marks. His line was not really getting caved in as normal when they moved Granlund to center, but still, the deployment makes no sense. He can't skate. He can't do anything offensively. He can't defend. He especially can't defend there. So why is he being iced in the most crucial part of the game, in a game that you need to win? It was a must win. I just don't get it. And the funny thing is, he, actually makes a heads up play, bounced the puck out of the air. Okay, fine, whatever. But then he goes and touches it. We can laugh that he missed the empty net. It wouldn't count, whatever. But he's a veteran player. You have to know not to touch that. If he lets that thing go a little bit, that wastes, 10, 15, 20 more seconds? They're dumping the puck back into the zone. The Penguins defenders, they have a head start to go back and get the puck, to get it out, to potentially spring someone for an empty netter. How does he not realize that in that situation? If that was a younger player there, like Drew O'Connor, P.O. Joseph, he's in the lineup, they're probably benched for the next 5 to 6 games. But nope, not Jeff Carter. Got to protect him in that no-move clause. Got to protect him at all costs. I don't know, man. I was raised to always, be optimistic, be like that positive person, because, there's a lot of hot takes out there on social media, on Reddits, sports talk radio, with that's probably some of the biggest hot take garbage you'll ever hear. But man, it is hard to get optimistic sometimes about this team when you see the same mistakes over and over and over and over again. Same deployment, same stupid defensive results, same garbage goaltending. When you need a save from any one of these goalies in a high lever situation, they cannot give it to you. And it repeats in all these losses. Even when they play some of their best hockey of the season, those first 40 minutes, wow, I was getting ready to say this was going to be the performance of the season by the Penguins. Halfway through the third period, was saying the same thing. 53, 54 minutes in, saying the same thing. Unacceptable. I am sick and tired of the same exact errors being made, and nothing is being done to change it. Whether it's putting different players out there with the deployment, whether it's changing out some of the tactics, whatever, man. This has got to stop. If they would have held on to these 3 leads over the Islanders when they brutally outplayed them, and I have the metrics, we'll get into that a little later on in the show, they'd be 9 points up on them right now. Think about that. That is how much of a difference these games have cost them. They would have buried those suckers. Would have buried them, buried every team behind them. They would have locked up their playoff spot by now. Nope. Can't do it. Get that extra point tonight. You win those 2 other games. 5 points. 79 right there. We take away those points from the Islanders. Yeah. So pardon me. Yeah. Yep. In regulation, yeah. 79-70. I don't know, man. Sometimes the team has your number. I get it, but should not have lost any of those last 3 games. And it's the same stupid mistakes. That mistake alone should get Ron Hextall out of here. That's how I look at it. I don't know, man. I think I've probably said my piece enough on that. Coming up in the second segment, we're going to get into some of the other blunders that we saw towards the late stages of the third period. While also, I will get into some of the positives from this game, because I did see a lot of things that I liked, and we'll also preview the weekend to come for this team. But before we get into that, it is time to talk about FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of Locked On. We're past the midway point of the NBA season. It's the perfect time to download FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because new customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's bonus bets back if your first bet does not win. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app. It's safe, secure, and super easy to use. There you can bet on everything from the money line to point scores and threes drained. Plus, it even lets you combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with the same game parlay. So don't miss a chance to get your no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 in bonus bets when you go to FanDuel.com/lockedon. Again, FanDuel.com/lockedon to learn more. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA and Locked On. All right, I'm back here in this episode of the Locked On Penguins podcast. I'm, of course, your host, Hunter Hodes. Remember to follow me on Twitter, Hunter Hodes. Follow the show's Twitter at @Penguins. And, of course, thank you all so much for making this your first listen of the day. So, other blunders that we saw late in this game that really cost the Penguins. Dumb penalties in the third period aside, they did well to kill them. I'm not really going to go at Drew O'Connor. Selfish penalty, yes. They killed it. I don't really care. You have 6 minutes left to defend a 2-goal lead. I don't care who the hell you're playing. You have to defend that. But Mikael Granlund gets schooled by a player that I had never even heard of coming into the season in Hudson fashion, gets his 5th goal of the season. Also, Tristan Jarry, I think you are allowed to make a save there. He did not look comfortable at all in this game. Honestly, these last 2 games, I don't know if Yins have noticed it. Maybe I don't think it's just me. Maybe you all have. He has not looked right. Not at all. His movement looks, and there's the train, of course, that's going. His movement has been terrible. Giving up goals that he was not giving up to start the season. For example, look at the Hudson fashion goal tonight. Mikael Granlund, bad defensive work there. Should not let him get the inside track on him like that. But look at his movement going side to side. I mean, that's a save he should easily make. He should be making that 9 out of 10 times, to be honest. Maybe I'm a little wrong on that. I don't think I am on this with my opinion, but I feel like that's a save he usually makes, right? I just don't think he looks right. Even on that first goal from Anders Lee, he was kind of swimming in the net a little bit. It seems like he's just playing to not re-injure the groin/chronic hip issue that he's been reported to be dealing with lately. That's what it seems like to me. And it's just he's putting himself out there when he's obviously not 100%. That's what it looks like. But did not look good on that goal. The third goal, I'm not really going to blame him too much for. That's just a deflection. But the fourth goal, makes a save on Palmieri. That's nice. But Brock Nelson comes down memory lane. Jarry, come out of your net a little bit. He gave Nelson the whole right side. Come out, be aggressive, be yourself. Just gave him all that net to shoot at. Be nice if our goalie in that situation would make a save. I know Ilya Sorokin or Igor Shesterkin or any other of these great goalies would make a save there. Tristan is not that guy right now. And it's showing. The goaltending has killed the Penguins against the Islanders this season. It's one of the main reasons why they got swept. 4 games. First time since the team started playing in 72. It's never happened before. He just wasn't good enough. And going back to that third goal just a little bit, I don't know what Kris Letang was doing there. It's very weird defense. You blowed up that play, right? Noah Dobson shooting it, obviously going for a redirect for Lee, and Letang is just swatting it at it. I'm like, that's not the play there. Get in front of that guy and box him out. I said that early on in this game on my social media. The fact that they are unable to box Anders Lee out time after time after time is just coaching malpractice. Are they not preparing the players at all for him? It doesn't look like they are. It also then falls on the players to follow that game plan, even if they are, which again, it doesn't look like it. What are you doing? I mean, we all saw Patrick Hornquist drive goalies and other defenders crazy for how good he was in front of the net. I feel like I'm having deja vu watching Anders Lee in front of the net, just torching the Penguins every single time. He had at least 4 goals against the Penguins this season. I think he had 7 points in the 4 games total. He killed them this season. It's either 7 points or 7 goals, one of the two. Penguin killer always has been. For some reason, they refuse to box him out and get him out of the net front. He's standing in front of Tristan Jarry. No one there to even, I don't know, give a small little cross check. The ref's probably not even going to call penalty there anyway, whatever. But where's the defense there? Brian Dumoulin is in no man's land, covering Kyle Palmieri at the side of the net. I'm sorry, Kyle Palmieri ain't scoring there. He can come out of there and also be on Grizzly in the situation. Just horrendous in-zone defense by the Penguins in the final couple of minutes. Again, I wish I was surprised that they blew this lead. I'm not. They've done this all year. And we used to be a proper country with this team with defending leads. Heck, you go back here over this stat, right? This was just a few years ago. They were 40-0-0 when leading after 2 periods. This was just a few years ago. Yep. 40-0-0. That ain't the record this season. They've lost double-digit games after having a 3rd period lead. It's pathetic. Or going into the 3rd period. They just take their foot off the gas. They make stupid in-zone mistakes. The goaltending's not good enough. And this is what you get. And what led to the overtime loss, and with the loss in overtime, I know Jarry should have probably been able to make that save, but I have no problem with what Rickard Rakell did behind the net. If Sorokin, great play by him, by the way, swatting his stick down, putting the puck off the boards. Pettersson has no chance to get back. He doesn't do that. Pettersson probably wins the game there. He was coming down Main Street, was going to tee up a slapper from 20 feet out. I don't think Sorokin saves that for as good as he is. I would have made that play 9 more times if I were Rickard Rakell. But she never even gotten to that point. Just stupid play, defensive play by this team continues to hurt them every time. And while we're on that, the topic of defense, get that Kulikov-Ruda pairing and shove it where the sun don't shine. It's terrible. I understand. Dmitry Kulikov has played only a few games. He's getting acquitted of the system. Hasn't really been that good. Jan Ruda, he's been bad the last couple of games. I am sorry. P.O. Joseph should not be on the bench for those 2 players. Shouldn't be. That pairing was a disaster tonight. And I mean an utter freaking disaster. Heck, even through, 2 periods, their expected goals rate was 24%. Pettersson Letang was 96. Dumoulin Petrie was 82. You got something cooking with that top pair, at least for right now. The top 4, I should say. Get that Kulikov-Ruda pairing out of here, man. It's not good enough. Couple paused. Well, we can save that actually for the final segment. That wraps up this second segment where, I continue to just, I guess speaking, I don't think I'm speaking to the void. I'm speaking to all of you, of course. But man, I am, I just can't with the same things. It's just, again, it's same crap, different day against the Islanders, man. They should have won that season series. They threw it away. But to end the show, we're going to touch on some positives from this game, what the Penguins can take out of it. Plus, we'll do some small previews for the games on Saturday and Sunday, 2 more massive games for this hockey team that's all coming up right after this commercial break. All right, I'm back in this episode of the Locked On Penguins podcast. I am your host, Hunter Hodes. Remember, follow me on Twitter at Hunter Hodes. Follow the show's Twitter, Eleanor Penguins. And of course, thank you all so much for making this your first listen of the day. I did like some positives from this game. Jake Guentzel rediscovering his scoring touch. That's 2 goals in the last 2 games now. Hopefully this leads to the floodgates really opening. I've seen too many of these weird trade Jake Guentzel takes. I don't listen to those. He's having a little bit of a rough year. I guess a little overall, but if the numbers don't really support that because he's close to a point per game player, it's a weird year for him, but he's hopefully starting to turn it around. Really like that deflection. Josh Archibald got his 5th goal of the season. Nice play by him. Jason Zucker, where would this team be without him? He got his 22nd goal of the night. A little squeak past Sorokin, which is nice, but man, has he been awesome this season. continues to be the heartbeat of this team. I am basically almost at that point where I would very much want to sign him back. Now, would I do a 5 or 6 year term for him? Probably not. The guy's already 31 years old. I would probably do something like 3 years, 4.5 million. See if he accepts that. I would not give him 5 or 5.5. That's probably a little bit too much. If he doesn't accept that, I think they may have to move on. I think maybe the highest term I would go is 4 years. 3 is my 2 to 3 is honestly probably my sweet spot. 3 I could definitely do. But he has been awesome this season, man. I can't say enough about how good he's been for this team. And again, overall, they were playing so well. 3 games in a row against the same Islanders team. I'm not going to sit here and call them mid or anything like that. You know, save that for Twitter and stuff. People can say whatever they want. They swept them. At the end of the day, they were better in the 4. You know, they got the results in the 4 games. The Penguins did not. They didn't probably deserve the results in 3 of those games, but that's how hockey works sometimes. You get swept by the Islanders, but the Penguins sweep the Tampa Bay Lightning. Hockey's weird. Like, I don't know what to tell you. At 5v5 tonight, the Penguins absolutely rolled them. They had 53% of the shot attempts, 76% of the high danger chances, 72% of the scoring chances, 69% of the expected goals. You know, if there was really no special teams, they win this game rather easily. But hey, special teams are a big part of the game. Penalty kill stunk yet again. Tristan Jarry wasn't good. Defensive play in the final 5 minutes also wasn't good. And this is the result that you get. Again, that said, I like what we saw from Pettersson Letang tonight. Some of the results this season have not been the best at times, but in terms of shot attempts, scoring chances, and expected goals, very much on the plus side. Dumoulin Petrie, very good first game despite not being a big sample size. I want to get that third pairing cleaned up. I would do P.O. Joseph with Chad Ruedel. Try it. Why not? P.O. Joseph's had a better year than both Jan Rutta and Dmitry Kulikov. I think overall, when you look at his Anaheim numbers, I think Chad Ruedel is a perfectly fine number 6 defenseman. We all saw it last season. I think he's probably at this point better than Jan Rutta. Try it out. See what happens. I mean, obviously you're playing to get into the playoffs, but I would do it. I think it makes a lot of sense. You know, I keep saying, after these kind of losses, you play that game 9 more times, they probably win 8 of them. I said that after the first one. I said it after the last one, and now I'm saying it after this one. So, my luck there is just brutal. I'm just stuttering so bad. It feels like they find new ways to lose, but no, it's really just the same thing with all 3 of these losses. The goaltending has been bad, making weird defensive reads, and the special teams have been garbage. There you go. They've smacked them at 5v5 these last 3 games. I don't know what to tell you. They dominated them. The fact that they only got 1 point out of that is just ridiculous, to be honest. It really, really is. Hey, still got the 3 games in hand, but again, they only matter if you win them. So I'll keep beating that drum down. We'll have to see what happens. Big weekend coming up here for the hockey team. Philadelphia on Saturday afternoon. New York comes to town. The Rangers on Sunday afternoon. More must-win games. The Flyers are really bad. They're not going to make the playoffs this season. Tony DeAngelo is not going to be in the lineup. Kevin Hayes has been good. Travis Konecny is always a Penguins killer as well. Carter Hart is actually having a pretty decent year, but this is a game that I think the Penguins should be able to win and should be able to win rather comfortably. They crushed the Flyers in the last matchup. I believe that was around Thanksgiving, if I recall correctly. They went up to Philadelphia and they smacked them around pretty good. You look at the Flyers lines right now: Joel Farabee, Morgan Frost, Owen Tippett, Scott Lawton, Noah Cates, Tyson Forster. Kevin Hayes with James Emriesdeg on the 3rd line. Nicolas Deslauriers with Kiefer Bellows on the 4th line. Ivan Provorov, Cam York defensively, Travis Sanheim, Rasmus Ristolainen, Nick Seeler, Justin Braun, and again, Carter Hart in net. They have a lot of injuries. Atkinson's done. Couturier's out. No Ryan Ellis. He has barely played since he became a Flyer. Wade Allison, Travis Konecny is actually on IR right now, so I actually totally forgot about that, so I'm not even really sure if he's going to be back in time to play. in this one. That would be a massive loss, of course, for the Flyers. He tends to do very well against the Penguins. But in this one, got to watch out for Hayes. He's had a very good season. Frost has played well. Joel Farabee's having a good year. Owen Tippett has played well against the Penguins in the past. Scott Lawton as well, JVR. So they still have some players that can hurt you, but this is a game that the Penguins have to win. I would expect Casey DeSmith to go in this one. I think they may save Tristan to play against the Rangers on Sunday, but it's one that I think they definitely have to win. Rangers on Sunday real quickly. They've beaten the Rangers already this season. They beat them in Pittsburgh. This will be the final matchup against the Rangers at PPG. Getting traffic in front of Igor Shesterkin will be paramount. I would expect him to start, even though the Rangers play on Saturday. I think we'll go to Halak against the Sabres. Got to get traffic in front of them. Same strategy as it is with Sorokin. The Rangers are obviously a bit better right now, forwards-wise. They added Patrick Kane, Vladimir Tarasenko, but I still think they're a bit weak on the back end. Ryan Lindgren is still out right now. We'll have to see if he's back by the time Sunday's game rolls around. He's continuing to skate, but he's not fully practicing just yet. That's been a big loss for them. They did just win in a shootout against the Canadiens on Thursday night. It's a really big missed opportunity for the Penguins to win that game regulation. I know they would be 6 points behind, but now you're 7 behind going into that game against the Rangers. It could be cut down a little bit based on Saturday's results. If the Rangers lose to the Sabres and the Penguins beat the Flyers, could be 5 points. If the Penguins win on Sunday, could go down to 3. We'll have to see. It's maybe a little bit of wishful thinking right now coming off this loss. But got to slow down the Rangers forwards. Zibanejad, Panarin, Kane, Tarasenko. I could go on and on and on. They have a lot of firepower up front. Their depth is also not bad. They also have a Tyler Mott. This is a very good team. That said, defensively, I think they are a bit weak. Adam Fox is probably going to have to play half their games in the playoffs if they really want to go on a deep run. I'm not fully sold on their defensive core as a whole. Ryan Lindgren is not bad. Keandre Miller is decent. Jacob Trouba, aside from all the obvious, I don't really think he's any good at breaking the puck out of his own end or defending in his own end, to be honest. Braden Schneider is probably one of the more underrated defensemen, but overall, I think it's a group that's lacking a little bit. I think the Penguins can definitely have them there. So that's going to be a fun game. Limiting the Rangers power play, it's very lethal. No matter who they put out there, that's going to be a big key for me. Beating them at 5v5. The Rangers are usually not that good of a 5v5 team. They're a bit better this year compared to where they were last year. But, I think the Penguins, if they play up to their level, they can be a better 5-on-5 team. Want to see the special teams be better. Need to see the goaltending be better. And please, for the love of God, try to play better in front of Chris Kreider than you have in front of Anders Lee. Kreider is a big Penguin killer. You all know that. I would not be surprised if he scored at least 1 goal in that game on Sunday. But 2 more games you have to win here. The Penguins, their struggles against Metropolitan Division teams have not gone unnoticed. The stat of the night here comes from Jenna Harner. They are 5th in the Metro. Their current record against the top 4 teams ahead of them, 1-7-4. The one win, of course, against the Rangers, but losing 11 out of 12 to the 4 teams in front of you, just not good enough at all. And I have never, ever seen the Penguins struggle like that against Metro teams under the Mike Sullivan era. They are usually very, very good against Metro teams. So I'll have to see if that changes here a little bit down the stretch. 2 massive games here. Got to win them. Got to stay in contention here. The Penguins, they are lucky that some of the teams behind them are playing like crap. Red Wings have slacked off. The Sabres are playing like garbage. The Senators, last I checked, it was 3-3. I'm actually going to look at that score right now. They had a 3-0 lead. Seattle came back to tie it. Let me see how that is going as of this recording. 4-4 right now. So after that, it was Vince Dunn that made it 4-3. Then Drew made it 4-4. We'll have to see. The Capitals lost tonight in the shootout. Penguins are 4 points up for the final spot right now. If the Senators lose, it still remains the same. And even if they win, actually remains the same. They'll be 4 points up going into this matchup on Saturday. But I think that probably does it for this episode of the Locked On Penguins podcast. I apologize for a lot of the negativity in this one. I pride myself on being very optimistic, very positive. I try not to be like that hot takes guy that just spews nonsense on Sports Talk Radio or subreddit and Twitter and all that stuff. But sometimes it's hard to find positives with this team, despite that they've won 5 of their last 7, should be 6 of 7 right now, to be honest. But they got to clean up these third periods. It's unacceptable, and they got to string together some more wins here. Playoffs are not a guarantee. They have the inside edge because the math is good, and some of the teams behind them have been giving them a lot of help. But until they start breaking away from some of these teams, the question of will they make the playoffs will continue to be, I know, just etched in everyone's minds. So that'll do it for this episode of the Locked On Penguins podcast. I really appreciate all of you listening to this one. This will be the last episode with this absolute garbage of a webcam. For those watching on YouTube, my brand new one comes on Friday. It is very, very good. I'm really excited for it. It has gotten great reviews. It was one of the recommended ones. My buddy recommended it for me. And I know a lot of people on the network that have it. Very excited for it to debut. And I think you all are going to love it that watch on YouTube. So that's the second part and really updoing my setup. And then we're going to get that stuff, some more stuff behind me as well. But again, thank you all so much for listening. Really, really appreciate it. We'll be back with more episodes on Monday. Have a great weekend. Let's see if they can get a big back-to-back sweep here against 2 more division rivals. Talk to you all next week.